Welcome to I Don't Get It, the pop culture get off my lawn cast.
All right, what is this accent? Why are you doing this?
Because it seemed like the right thing to do. This show features the open-minded musings of two late 40s. No, I'm sorry, I did not.
Oh my God!
Oh, I did it
we have to change our opening pattern.
I screwed the boilerplate. All right, everybody.
Dude, we haven't been on in weeks. Let's start with something semi-normal.
All right, all right. This features the open minds of two early 50s curmudgeons.
I'm not early 50s yet, my friend.
No, that's true. All right, one late 40s, one early 50s curmudgeon. Yes. Staring down the prospect of entertainment relevance. I'm your co-host, Bill Scurry of America's Leisure Enterprises, which God knows, if it's anything, it's an evil landscaping concern, which handles all your seasonal yard needs from mowing in the summer to plowing in the winter.
What makes it evil?
You know, I think that we just probably charge usurious rates for those things more than anything else. Maybe we could curse the boughs on your trees and the landscaping.
Okay,
it's possible. You know,
the usurious rates is probably most landscaping. I don't know. I've never hired a landscaper.
Have you ever installed an evil sprinkler system? It works well, but it's always it's always this danger. You don't really know what's going to happen.
Shoots blood or something? Or?
No, it's mostly water. It's your tap water. It's not blood per se. It's just it's evil. I guess
it's just evil tap water.
It's just evil tap water. No, I think you understand too.
Good to know.
Yeah.
I'm your other co-host. My name is Noah Tarnow. I'm the founder and senior quiz master of the Big Quiz Thing, the trivia game show spectacular. Welcome back, friends. We God, how many weeks were we off? 4 or 5?
Oh Jesus, no, we took off. I think the last 2 weeks of May, and we're kind of into the first week of July. So it's been like 5 or 6 at this point, something like that.
So Bill and I, we met up in person in Bermuda.
Yes,
Bermuda, beautiful Bermuda, Hamilton, Bermuda. Had a great time with some friends to celebrate turning 50. And then you were all, I came home after that, but you were all over.
However, before Bermuda, I will point
North
out
America.
that you were in the European continent.
That's right.
We did not interlude, but you were in the north of France and you saw some beautiful things like Mont Saint-Michel, the legendary monastery.
And Paris. Had a wonderful time with family. Then I was briefly in Boston. And then I was in Bermuda with you, and then you were New York, L.A., Vegas. You went everywhere, man.
I did. I went everywhere. I met our one of our chief listeners who's contacted me, Mr. Will Coker. We had a very nice lunch in the Chinatown in Las Vegas. We chilled out for about an hour and a half or so.
Las Vegas has a Chinatown?
It does, and you know what? I
shouldn't be surprised. I just didn't know that.
A lot of Chinese moved in the 80s, and they established an outpost that's sort of on the west side of the strip. It is a teeming Chinatown. Not only that, but the food, I think, it's not fucking casino food. It is to me the best food I've had because it is affordable, good, like home cooked. Well, not home cooked. It's good. It's good Chinese restaurants.
Isn't that most Chinatowns? Chinatown restaurants?
It could be.
China's town.
China's town. Maybe I'm just being dazzled by the sort of simplicity of it or the constancy of it,
or because the quality of most food in Las Vegas.
You had the option of being in the casino hotel when all the restaurants were ridiculous. The steak will cost you $80 or something like that. Also, the Chinatown here in Amsterdam is to me of not exceptional quality. The flavor's not great, and in France, especially, I've eaten their Chinese food. It's not fantastic. I prefer American Chinese food. For whatever, and it's like, and
it's very different from Chinese.
It is, but in Las Vegas happens to have a great selection. So we had a very good lunch. We it was like meeting an old friend. The nice thing when you meet somebody like that, you've already got the first impression out of the way I think about it. So we just kind of got into it. It was a very nerdy afternoon of a crispy fried beef, not orange peel beef, but crispy fried beef. But it was very nice, very nice. So
crispy fried beef in a while. That's good stuff.
And now I'm back in the pocket. I'm back in Amsterdam, and ready to do this now. I'm refreshed. I think I'm ready to speak about popular
refreshed
culture
and renewed. So those of you who are just joining us or forgot since last time, we're just getting older. Never stops, and we look at stuff that's happening that's new. And this is TV shows, movies, music, trends. And sometimes toys, consumer products. And that's today. This was your suggestion. Strictly speaking, I had not heard of this, but I definitely was familiar with it. I had seen it around. And while it seemed it peaked a couple months ago, I found a news article from yesterday.
Yeah.
That was
so relevant. a lot of June news sources about this for sure.
Yeah. So we're talking about Labubu, the brand of dolls. I mean, I hesitate to call them dolls because you don't generally hug them the way you do a doll.
I mean,
or play with it.
plushies. Yeah, it's hard
They're
to say.
little plush. I mean, they make varieties, but the main one is a little plush like thing you hang off your purse
like
or your backpack.
a key ring, a fixed thing.
Right, and they're creepy dolls and furry kind of creepy dolls, and they kind of went crazy last year, and they continue to be very popular in various think pieces. I put think in quotes. So Bill, give us the basics about the history of Labubu.
I'm not sure we have any think pieces left over at this point. They're just pieces.
I'm sure we have any thoughts left over at this point.
I think you're right about that. Labubu no is a brand of collectible plush toy monster elf. That is how the Wikipedia describes it, which I don't know.
Collectible toy monster elf.
I think elves look different to me than but hey, we'll just go with it. It's created by a Hong Kong.
They're a little elfin. They're kind of elfin. I could see that.
Something to it. A Hong Kong / Belgian designer named Ka Sing Lung. It is marketed and sold exclusively by China-based retailer Pop Mart, another phenomenon I did not know about. And
I didn't. And now I want to go visit one. There's one in San Francisco.
I would imagine. I'm curious. It seems like there would be one here, but it would be much smaller than the one in San Francisco. If there was one in Amsterdam, one would assume you get this kind of like plastic cult that has popped up in many of the major world capitals. But yeah, the feature of this. Anything I saw that was from American news, they would go to the Pop Mart in either New York or LA, not so much San Francisco, but that's what the story had alighted upon. So Labubu is also the name of the main character of the series, in addition to the product-wide line. Identified as female. I don't want to misgender the furry little monster.
They're all the characters are female?
I think so.
The title character, Labubu herself.
I mean, there's nothing necessarily. Again, what does that even mean? It's like I know that the creator Ka Sing Lung says that this is a female character, even though, it's just essentially a grinning little jackal with spiked teeth along the way. But a
furry, lovable grinning jackal with spiked teeth. It kind of, Google Labubu, folks. It kind of treads a line between creepy and cute.
Yeah, creepy cute. I mean, that's just Ugly Doll did this back in the day. People kind of forgot about the Ugly Doll.
Cute P.
So, the character was designed by this person, Ka Sing Lung, who, born in Hong Kong, raised in Utrecht, the Netherlands. No, I didn't expect this was going to have a lowlands quality. I was very shocked by this and surprised, especially when
Bell's in the Netherlands, folks, by the way.
I I was trying to find interviews as we do with media, and I only found interviews with Ka Sing Lung in Dutch and in Cantonese. I didn't find anything in English, but it's like, again, this person has been living here in the Low Countries for, I would say, at least, I think the guy is like over 50, over almost 60 years old or something like that. He's been here for a good long time, being a pop artist and an artist and a sort of character designer, kind of like a quasi-animator, if you will, children's book author. So Labubu was a part of Lung's story, The Monsters, which was influenced by Nordic folklore, mythology that he enjoyed during his childhood here in the Low Countries. Having access to sort of Scandinavian myths and things like that, little trolls and whatnot, I'm assuming has a lot to do with that. Stuff that he would not have had access to had he grown up in, Cantonese-speaking Hong Kong, which, again, there's no shortage of creativity at but it's a really interesting fusion of the two things, his Asian upbringing and his childhood in Utrecht. So Labubu was first introduced in the 2015 Monsters figurines produced by the company How to Work. That was the actual producer of the plastic. Toy gained wider recognition in 2019 following a collaboration with the Chinese strip mall toy vendor Pop Mart. No, I was trying to find a better way to describe Pop Mart. It's a toy store. Yeah, but if there's something more to it where it looks closer to like, what we saw, like an electronics boutique when we were younger. There's something flashier about it.
Yeah, toys kind of more for adults. The term
like
I heard in this
a collectible shop
was, kidult. I never heard that term before, kidult. Which I guess is a genre of collectible that is kid stuff. Well,
again, who could afford these not the off the shelf, these things cost what they do, but the back mark, $30. So I guess kids I didn't have $30 when I was the age that you might buy these sort of things, but I don't know. But so Pop Mart is where you go for these things. If you look at a lot of the media online, you'll see that there are people lined up outside of Pop Marts. Or your Harrods department store in London, for instance, where there's a pretty famous bit of news where you watch people on the street sleeping hours and hours and hours so they can just pretty much make the shelves bare after about 15 minutes or so after Harrods opens its doors in London, of all places. So this whole, phenomenon and partnership boosted Labubu's popularity among collectors. So by this year, 2025, Anno Domini, the year of our Christ, Common Era, Labubu has released over 300 different figurines ranging in size and price, ranging from $15 for 3-inch vinyls up to $960 for 31-inch mega editions along the way.
But the standard are the $30 bag charm kind of things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, and it's like, maybe you could explain. If I'm going to give it over to you now. The idea that these are sold in blind boxes, that's kind of the phenomenon. Boxes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So take it away, Noah. What did you think?
Well, two things. You mentioned the blind box at the end there. Yes. So they're sold in blind boxes, which means you don't know what you're getting. You get a box, you don't know what's inside. Now, people have kind of gamed it by using flashlights to tell which one they're getting, but there's a gambling aspect. Like, am I going to get one I already have? Am I going to get the new one? How does it work? Which one am I going to have? So $30 seems like a big gamble on something you might already have, right? I don't know. The other thing is this kind of hit. So Pop Mart introduced it in 2019, but this kind of hit last year when the incredibly popular singer Lisa, she just goes by Lisa, she's from Thailand, but she's a member of the wildly popular K-pop group Blackpink, also a star of former, I don't get it, the pop culture get off my long cast topic, White Lotus.
She's a two-time loser on I don't get it.
Yes, two-time. Are there any winners on the show? So she, for some reason, was doing a video with Vanity Fair talking about stuff she loved, and she was talking about several collectibles, and she was hugging one of the big size Labubu dolls and talking about Labubu and love Labubu. And she started hanging the Labubu, one of the standard size ones off her Hermes bag. It was Hermes, some fancy brand, Kate Spade. I don't know the name. And some other celebrities have been seen with them. I saw particularly Kim Kardashian and Rihanna. But the Lisa thing really supercharged this. Though, did you watch that video, Bill?
I started watching it and I kind of tuned it out because I know how it ends. I know how this thing goes.
Maybe she's a great singer. She's a perfectly good actress on White Lotus. She sounds like she's developmentally disabled in this video.
I don't know what to tell you.
She's an adult. She's like, I love this toy. It's so like literally. I'm like, is there something wrong with this person?
What's wrong with her is that she caught California vocal affectation. That's what's wrong with her.
So bad. Oh God, why do adults act this way? Anyway, so that really supercharged it. And yeah, you mentioned people wait online. It's like sneaker culture, which I don't get if you're, the blind box thing. Like, you're going to wait all night for something that you might already own?
Well,
that seems ridiculous.
I feel like the correlation between was Supreme. The only thing we talked about that had that sort of the hype beast culture was Supreme.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Supreme, at least you know what you're getting. I mean, it's nothing, but you know you're getting it.
Yeah,
this baffles me in many ways. So yeah, I'm back. Look, here are the good things. The story I heard, that podcast, was a really interesting podcast, and I want to quote it because it went a long way toward me understanding this. It's a podcast for toy makers. How Labubu became the most wanted plush in the world. It's an episode of making it in the toy industry, which I found very interesting. I forget the host's name, but she was very insightful. I appreciated that. Anyway, she basically said that Pop Mart was doing no real marketing to speak of, but once the Lisa thing happened, the Vanity Fair video, they really capitalized it very smartly. They introduced the scarcity model, that, only limited editions of these are available. And they really managed to evangelize or get their fans to evangelize on their behalf, which we've said on the show a million times is the secret to marketing success in this day and age. So in terms of marketing, this is quite a feat, and my hat's off to them. Another point this podcast made was, here's something that's gone wildly popular without being based on existing IP, which Also seems a rarity these
I mean,
days. So.
you could quibble because this was in fact a series of storybooks.
Oh, okay. Yes, technically, but IP that isn't. Yes. All right. I take that back.
Simultaneity, but at least I'm going to give. I'm going to give.
I mean, the book's only
longer.
10 years old,
Yeah.
And the figures came shortly after, and Pop Mart came a couple years after that. But there's no world in which I would buy these or be a fan of these. Cute is not my aesthetic. These are, like I said, they toe the line between cute and scary. They're these little elfish kind of monster faces with these big sawtooth grins. It's still more cute than scary. Cute is not for me. That whole kawaii Japanese thing just doesn't vibe with me. I don't know why I would have a little plush figure hanging off my purse or my backpack or anything. This is not targeted to me, and it did not reach me. I complained about before the gambling aspect, that you're paying $30 and you don't know what you're going to get. That seems very strange to me and very, I don't want to overstate it, but very irresponsible. Like, you're throwing away $30 on whatever. Like, I'm trying to imagine if I were a kid crazy about these things and my parents going, all right, you get one, and tough shit if it isn't what you wanted. And really, these things are $30? They're not that big. It's very strange. And then it just seems culty, like Supreme. Like, these things aren't that special. So why are you so into them? And why is it inspired a zillion TikTok videos? It just, again, I'm overstating things. Culty might be harsh, but it seems a little like an extreme example of it's popular because it's popular. It's popular because it went viral, or because
sure
this.
Ka Sing Lung is rich because of it. One would have to assume with this
very much, and the head of Pop Mart, I'm sure, is as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that you go crazy over something just because a bubble-headed I mean, she can't be that dumb. She's a good actress, but just like this celebrity talking like she's a 5-year-old who got hit on the head, says she likes it and gives no insight. Like, that means you're crazy about something. That's some scary shit. And speaking of shit, do we really need more plastic in the world? I mean, really?
It just comes down to this argument, don't we?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't. It's not the worst thing ever, but count me out.
I thought of the gambling aspect. It's funny you should mention that, because the only comp I had with that when we were kids was when we would buy packs of baseball cards, but they were
garbage pail kits.
Yeah, that's it. Well, it was Return.
What are you going to get?
Return of the Jedi cards, garbage pail kids cards.
But you get 10 for, I don't know what they were, probably 50 cents.
And they were
so
cardboard.
The equivalent now is 10 for $2.
I remember like people who really had
and a piece of bubble gum that shattered your jaw.
When the gravy train rolled up, you could buy the entire box, and maybe you get the whole set.
Remember that?
That's the thing. Yeah, I never got to do that, but sometimes you would buy, or you'd buy sometimes the drugstores would have the entire sheet, the uncut sheet of the cards. You'd be able to get them at certain points. Yeah, that was the only thing. Again, it's a different price point altogether. It's funny, you mentioned that this has been boiling for a little while now. I mean, we've been off for many weeks, but my wife brought this up back in May, and somebody else unrelated sent me a ping that says, you guys want to talk about Labubu. The fact it's kind of weird that this held on to its heat, considering it's just this, the toy line had nothing to build on. It just sort of maintained a sort of rolling parboil for that amount of time.
Well, there'll be a Labubu movie any day now. Mark my words.
Look, Warner Brothers would be happy with Jack Black as the voice of Labubu, or believe me, it's closer to happening.
It's coming. It's coming. Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan as Labubu, they want that. You can make that deal, I think. Like I like you, I think this was a nonsense word, that meandered its way through social media. I wondered what it was about, and ultimately, we're just talking about another cargo cult, like Stanley Cups, which we talked about, 5-6 months ago or something like that. Maybe last year. There's no time dilation. I have no idea. But Ka Sing Lung's cartooning style, his pop art style, I actually found it very appealing. I like that he's working in the same milieu. He seems pretty inspired, or at least it's a coincidence that he's working in that sort of Takashi Murakami vein, especially with the spiked teeth. I can't remember what Murakami's character is called. He has a sort of smiling head that sort of has Mickey Mouse ears and like crazy anime eyes, and it's got a spiked teeth grin like these guys do. So, I mean, maybe it's a little derivative, but it's all working inside of a space. And Murakami stuff, jumped the rails from collector's items to, major showings in America, Asia, Europe, top flight galleries. We have two in our possession. We have two Murakami prints because me and Janice are just absolutely in love with this stuff. It is a to consider that stuff fine art, especially because I've been watching anime for decades.
I mean, sure, it's fine art. Why not?
No, I know, but the fact that it has been blessed, by the same people who buy mock Rothkos would buy a Murakami, and
I'm not sure the same people would at this point. But,
well, I mean, you don't buy
those people will be dead soon, so you guys will take over.
I got to sell my Rothko. Is that what you're saying? Anyway, but I think there's something to the kernel of it, owing to Ka Sing Lung's style and the fact that it came out of illustrations, and he really is a pop artist. This stuff even has like a squiggly Basquiat look to it, although nothing at all like Jean-Michel Basquiat.
You are the first person to compare Labubu to Basquiat.
No, I'm saying
Rothko for that matter.
His line art has that sort of scratchy look to it. It's a very jaggedy type, I don't know, like I said, maybe I'm going too far off mark. There's something to the kernel of that, but all the fucking, the plastic and the key rings and the cargo cult of buying boxes that are blind, that shit turns me off, just like you. It does nothing for me.
It's just adorable. Look at that little face. Who could not love that face?
The sudden rise in popularity of Labubu because it has gone crazy, like absolutely crazy recently.
But why? Why do you think this is popular?
Well, I mean, the packing method of Pop Mart's blind boxes, the lottery gambling aspect, not that we've never seen it before, it encourages the overconsumption of plastic egos for sure. The idea you create this hype that you got to get it before other people do because you're trying to buy more than you need. Like you have to overcorrect in terms of how many things because I didn't see anything about strategy in terms of a light bulb, a flashlight. I don't quite know. If it's so bright, I guess it's supposed to show between the cracks of the box.
See there's a card inside. You're able to read it.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I read that once in one thing that said people use flashlights. Who knows if it really works?
Yeah, I feel like every bit of footage looked like the stuff is just as fast as people could put their greasy hands on it, then they take it off the shelves, that sort of thing. So I mean, it's a craze, and you need more than you can get, and the fact is that they're blind, and you feel like when you're sleeping at 5 a.m. on a sidewalk outside of Harrods or somewhere in San Francisco, and you look left and right and you see all these people who took the day off of work to sit there online on the cold sidewalk. I mean, I don't recall since Phantom Menace tickets where people lined up for a week in advance to buy tickets for episode 1, Star Wars The Phantom Menace. That whole idea of camping out for something you want is
weren't people doing that for some Marvel movies?
Yeah, but I mean, people didn't do it for Jaws. People didn't do it for Basic Instinct. People started doing that for consumer stuff.
They did it for Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, Return of the Jedi. I mean, movies was one thing. Granted, you could say that's a bad investment because you're not bringing anything home with you. That's literally just you want to be there for an event that you could wait and see.
It's about the experience, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could do what I do. I don't give a shit if I see it the first night. I'll go the second weekend when I don't need to wait online at all.
Right. Although in Return of the Jedi's case, it was sold out for weeks, and the Phantom Menace may have been sold out for weeks too.
We're way off topic.
You get the point, though. Yeah, it's like Lisa does a lot in terms of she has a specific thumb on a specific scale. If you're going to be into K-pop, if you're going to be into Blackpink, then this is intersectional with that level of weird fandom, the stuff that you want to buy. It's the aesthetic. I mean, it rockets the stuff off into the stratosphere. It's a couple of simple points, but it seems like they're all right there.
Yeah, I mean, cute is king, despite my dislike of cute aesthetic. It's really gotten its claws into our. I mean, it's Japanese. It's a Japanese influenced culture has progressively grown since we were children. Its influence on American culture, especially on young people. So the cute kind of kawaii look has just grown in popularity. So something that's cute does have a leg up for, I don't know. I haven't really considered that. There might be some deep, psychological, sociological, sexual reasons why people like more cute stuff in times of strife. But I don't know. Give me more time to think about that. Celebrities, brands. I mean, Lisa made it happen. K-pop is giant. I'll get to it later, but reading an article about this, and the headline literally said Rihanna and Kim Kardashian, and the reference to them in it was just they've been spotted with these things, but they put it in the fucking headline, which is just, oh my God, the celebrity.
They broke their silence, at least. You have that going for them.
Gambling's addictive. If there is a gambling aspect, it's addictive, man. Just give me 30 more bucks. I'll hit it this time. And that podcast brought up something interesting. There's a term, I have heard this before, the lipstick effect. Do you know about the lipstick effect?
No, I have no idea.
So it's an economic theory that during times of inflation or economic struggle, people pass on buying large, expensive luxuries. They go on fewer vacations. They buy fewer flat screen TVs. They buy fewer, luxury cars. However, to compensate, they buy more small luxuries. Lipstick being an example, right? Nobody needs lipstick, but they say during times of economic downturn, women buy more lipstick because it's a small luxury. It's a small way to treat yourself. I don't know. I have no idea what lipstick costs, but it has to cost less than a flat screen TV.
During the downturn, that's where you're going to go to Sephora, essentially.
So the theory is, even at $30 for something you might already own, you're more likely to buy a little gewgaw like this when money's tight because it's a way to treat yourself in lieu of that vacation, in lieu of that, fancy sports car, in lieu of that, giant stereo system or new computer or whatever. That makes a lot of sense to me. And, the economy, certainly on vibes is not good, and it's ain't getting better anytime soon.
Labubu is een soort monster dat in mijn geest zit, dat ik altijd niet durf te doen.
No, would you have liked it as a sweet little squishy kid? Would you have been into this?
There was never a point in my life where this aesthetic connected with me, but this is one of those things that if I were young now, obviously I would be a very different person. And as I said before, the growing influence in recent decades of Japanese style pop culture, I think it's almost inevitable I would have, I don't like anime very much. I really dislike manga. To be blunt, Japanese pop culture really just, it flummoxes me.
I don't think I knew that about you. With it. That's interesting.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I've said this. I don't want to go to Japan. I'm afraid I'll be uncomfortable the entire time I'm in Japan.
Just because the storytelling norms and the kind of aesthetic styles is so alien to you?
Look, I've known a lot of lovely Japanese people. It's not about people, but I find Japanese culture to be very discomforting. There's just something about it. It just throws me for a loop. I don't understand. I'm sure if I went, I would have a good time and I would find it fascinating. But Japanese culture just turns me off.
What about Kurosawa movies? They don't pass the test with you?
They're okay. But again, they might as well be a different country because it's so long ago, I'm thinking anime, manga, the whole kawaii, flashing lights aesthetic. So, however, I loved comic books as a kid. So if I were a kid now, I definitely have more. I never heard the word manga till I was out of college, right? So if I were a kid now, I probably would have given manga and anime more of a chance. And there's a good chance I'd like it more. Still, I'm a man and I was a boy. And I would guess that Labubu has far more female fans than male ones. So I don't know, but maybe if I was a little kid, I had a Cabbage Patch Kid, so I liked some quote unquote girly stuff when I was little. So maybe if I was a little kid, I'd want one of these. Maybe the saw teeth would be just the thing to make me feel it was just masculine enough for barely masculine 7-year-old me. So probably not, but maybe.
Do you remember Cabbage Patch Kids? Coleco put out a sort of a couple of years into the run. They put out a run of little animal-based things that were Koosas, and that was designed to sort of scoop up the boy audience. They were trying to.
The first time I heard of Koosas, I wanted a Cabbage Patch Kid for Christmas. For Christmas, Jesus, for Hanukkah. One night I had a box and wrapped. I'm like, ooh, it's my Cabbage Patch Kid. I opened it. It was not a Cabbage Patch Kid. It was a Koosa. I had never heard of Koosas before. My parents couldn't find a Cabbage Patch Kid, so they got me a Koosa instead. And it was awesome because you could name it yourself.
Yeah, Cabbage Patch Kids came with names. That's no less.
Right. You mail away for a little sticker, just like dot matrix printed the name. And I named my Koosa Terrence because I think I had seen some actor named Terrence on Hollywood Squares and I liked the name. So I had a Koosa named Terrence.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I had a Koosa.
He haunts you to this day. I see him in the back of your screen right now. He's shadowing you for the rest of your life.
If I still had Terrence the Koosa, I would so have him on a shelf. My sister still has her childhood teddy bear on a dresser next to her. Next to her bed.
My teddy bear is downstairs here in Amsterdam. I've never lost
Really?
track of the years. The original 1975
nice.
issue teddy bear is still here to this day.
What was his name?
Teddy. That's very.
Come on!
I didn't
What
name
a
him.
cop out!
My mom did. I didn't name him. What do you want?
What do you mean you didn't name him?
I was fucking 3 or 2 when I got him. I didn't name him.
You named your dolls when you were a little kid. I named all
I inherited.
toys.
I had one doll. It was Teddy, the teddy bear, and his name was Teddy. That was just all there was.
And
to
you
it.
inherited him from whom? You don't have an older.
No,
son.
I'm saying I was given. It was bequeathed unto me, but with a name already. The same way Cabbage Patch Kids came with a name.
Okay.
Hello.
Well, Kusas didn't, and I had a Kusa. And his name
I
was
always
Terrence.
want. I
missed it.
wanted a Cabbage Patch Kid with the name H.L. Mencken Smith. That's what I wanted his name to be, or something like that.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Something. I don't know.
That was just a segue into the Kusa thing.
So if I like, yes. So just like I liked the Kusa, I would. I might have loved.
Well, the Kusa was like a memory hole, but again, I haven't thought about it for decades, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember Coleco was really trying to like scoop up the other half of the market because that was such a runaway hit with girls. Look, we've had countless analogs of this along the way, not just in our show, but also throughout history. Yeah, I mean, Cabbage Patch Kids, as mentioned already, from Coleco, who it was strange to type that name Coleco at my notes because I always associated with the misbegotten video games platform.
I know. Did they make any non-video game toys other than Cabbage Patch Kids?
It's
kind of weird that they made that.
I just did not. I didn't go through the rabbit hole on to figure out what else Coleco was known for because we had ColecoVision, or at least it was in my family. And then it's like the next thing I heard from Coleco was Cabbage Patch Kids. So
I know how it's like if Nintendo made like.
Go ahead, say it. Nintendo's been around since the 40s, right, or the 30s.
I know it originally made playing cards.
Yeah, that's the thing. You wouldn't expect that. It's like Nintendo making
playing
cards.
games.
I know.
It makes sense. They were smart. They adapted with the times.
So yeah, the idea that this stuff it's stamped in my brain is the idea of as Noah would say incorrectly that I'd say incorrectly. It's a cargo cult where I'm just going to call it a cargo.
It's not a cargo
and let
cult.
it rip.
It's not what cargo cults are.
People would queue up outside of Toys R Us's and Child's World for hours in the early 80s to strip the shelves of all the stock. Here's the thing, though. It's like this has been called Furby. It's been called Tamagotchi. Of course, you all know it's been called Beanie Babies. Everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Like maybe that was the other secondary. I think there's still a market. There's still an aftermarket for Beanie Babies. Is still like the first crypto. Where like Beanie Babies are sort of like a blockchain, except it was like dumb little fucking.
They were made on the blockchain. Most people don't know that. They're crafted on the blockchain.
And no matter what you call it, though, I've never bitten on it.
Mine the beans.
Noah, I say to you in stentorian and clear voice, give me Megatron and Skeletor, but not bitey little monsters.
Give them fighting each other. I want to see that.
So this guy has a tail, okay? It's super cute. So when this guy has a tail, they call Simomo. If she doesn't have tail, we call her Labubu.
So Bill, in any way is the rise of, I was calling it before the mics went hot, Labu? And I was thinking of what's shabu shabu? That's like some barbecue dish.
It's a cooking style, yeah. And
Right.
Lapu Lapu is a pineapple cocktail at Trader Sam's in Disneyland. If you're familiar with that bar on the property there,
I was calling it Labu Labu, but it's not. It's Labubu.
Yeah.
Is any way this a sign of the apocalypse?
No, this keeps happening. Like we've been doing, and not only that, I feel like we've been doing a lot lately. Perhaps since the corona, not the beer, but the actual disease, the corona apocalypse. I think maybe, like you say, people are recentering their identity via purchasing power to get the small things as things go to shit. That they are buying lipstick and they're buying. I mean, people have always bought Hermes bags. Or Louis Vuitton bags was the sense of like I may be fucking penniless, living in a cold water flat, but I've scraped up all this cash to get a Louis Vuitton bag, and it's like Louis Vuitton was basing most of its sales on the fact that people were using that as conspicuous consumption rather than the wealthy people who had plenty of money to buy. Louis Vuitton didn't think much of it because for them it's something everybody had one of them. They had the same Louis Vuitton bag or Coach bag or anything like that. So it's like, people are flexing purchase power as they prepare for the next wave or the current wave, the present wave of disaster to sweep over their globe. It's got to be that if you can't have either peace or prosperity or vaccines or whatever, at least you can have more stuff. You get a rack of stuff.
Circuses, my friend.
Yeah, this is just bread. I haven't seen a circus in a minute. But we just got the bread for the moment.
Well, when the movie comes, that'll be the circus.
Yeah.
With Michael B. Jordan as
the voice of Labubu.
The voice, he'll be in a costume, man. Yeah, I mean, it's more junk that the Earth doesn't need. It's more sticking our heads in the sand. We're not, we're too busy waiting online for Labubus to, march for voting rights. But I wanted to call out an article just from yesterday in the Daily Mail, the article I referred to that put Kim Kardashian and Rihanna in the headline, even though they are almost completely irrelevant to the story. Here's a quote from this Daily Mail article. Conspiracy theorists are spreading a chill. This is the Daily Mail. This is a legit, semi-legit paper.
It's not legit. The Daily Mail is not a legit, not semi or the
semi-legit. It's not fucking, Ed's blog.
It's worse. It's worse. They're just, anyway, go. What are you going to say? Go on.
Conspiracy theorists are spreading a chilling theory about the China-made collectibles, alleging they were inspired by Pazuzu, a demon from Mesopotamian mythology, and incidentally, the supposed demon in The Exorcist.
The Exorcist, yeah.
Yes. Internet sleuths point to the doll's wide grins and pointy teeth, noting similarities to the depictions of Pazuzu in ancient artifacts. Quote, "There's a verse that says Satan disguises himself as an angel of light," one user posted, referencing 2 Corinthians 11:14. Some believers have even taken to blessing their Labubu dolls with holy water to purge any perceived evil.
Good. I'm glad we got that over with, Noah.
So, according to these people, they might literally be an augur of the end times, but, or maybe just the fact that people believe this is the augur of the end times.
Let's take it out of the plastic.
Oh, look.
Does it have 9? Yeah, does it have 9 teeth?
It might be a
legit.
Lafufu.
Again, we don't want a Lafufu here.
6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, because the fake is called Lafufu?
The fakes are called Lafufus, and again, you got to look at the teeth. Also, there's
Why
a
isn't it
QR
called
code on the
Lafofo?
back.
No, let's wrap our return trip up and our entrance into the 50s, or for you, the soon-to-be entrance into the 50s, the next gateway into our podcast future. Let's talk about jealousy, as I think we're entitled to do as old men here. Does this fill you with any feeling of envy?
Yeah, a little. I mean, like I said, this is a marketing triumph. The ability to, get people to evangelize on your behalf and to, create the idea of scarcity to gin up popularity
with very little outlay. I mean, honestly, it's almost like a rolling boulder.
Exactly. And these are concepts that I've toyed with in selling my services. Engaging to some extent, or just toyed with the concept and never quite cracked that egg to the extent I wanted to. So yeah, I'm jealous of that. They did a good job doing something that I kind of wish I had done. I mean, not literally Labubu, but similar concepts.
Yeah, I guess if you're not going to give credit to the art because the sort of design of it leaves you cold, then I would imagine you feeling that way about it. Well, look, I felt a deep well of gratification that I went through the entire beginning of the summer. In fact, I think we were at the longest day very shortly. Well, summer is
no, we were a couple days ago.
Okay, yeah, we're past the halfway point of summer.
By the way, do you know a couple days ago was the exact midway point between the year 2000 and the year 2050. We are now closer to 2050 than 2000.
By seconds, by mere sidereal
days
time.
At this
point.
But,
but I got through this entire 2025 Anno Domini Common Era without knowing what this was. So in a way, I'm kind of glad to have been. I'm glad to have been exempt from its charms. It made this stuff of a great episode because I'm sure that some people know a little bit about it. So I'm sure that some people were probably in the same boat I was. They maybe heard about it, but just didn't sate their curiosity. But look, here's the thing. My friend Becky Deanna got me a new Cobra Commander action figure when I was in Los Angeles. She got me this beautiful cake that had sideways. She doesn't listen to the show, by the way, so it's not I'm super her up as if she's listening, but she's not.
You don't have to say it's beautiful then.
No, it's great. No, I mean, I was really touched by it. The cake had sideways on top of it. One of my favorite movies. And she got me a Cobra Commander figure. It's really
Did
nice.
she make you drink Merlot while you ate the cake?
I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot.
Yeah, right.
Don't go to the dark side, Miles. Yeah. So, when I was out there in LA for the visit, I was very happy when I got back. I installed Cobra Commander on my wall of villainy, took a picture of it, sent it to Becky so she saw this very nice, spontaneous gift of the Cobra Commander figure. That kind of thing I have room in my life for, but I just don't have room for Labubu, Noah. It's just not there.
Room for Labubu. So, Bill, let's talk about the Felonian scale.
Yes.
Where does this rank? See if you can remember all the topics we talked about in the distant past now, of the many years we've done this show. Where does Labubu rank on the Matrix XYZ AA multi-dimensional axes,
Cartesian coordinates
of our past topics.
Yeah, you know what? It's like every time, because I'm suffering from Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, the sort of spongy brain encephalitis, I do have to look back at the top of this, which is longer with each week that we go through here. I got a good comp this week. And again, you're going to wonder why I came up with this. You're going to probably squint your eyes on our Zoom feed here. So it's a level of clawing, right? This product has a level of clawing that's equal to the comp's level of gore, Noah. And it's a relative wave of popularity in its field, which matches the sensation, which was stirred up by previous topic, Terrifier 2 Art the Clown, Noah. So the facets are different, but the thing is, I was kind of like no less baffled by and simultaneously a little disinterested by the phenomenon. But it looks like there's something similar going on where the adherents are really into it. It's a different quanta. We're talking about different.
Yeah, no, it's different in many ways.
But they each are really into the thing to the level that they're into it. Where the Art the Clown thing with the sort of cartoon Caro syrup blood and the quantity of it, and the sort of like butcher shop organs they were strewing around the room, is kind of the equivalent of the level of cute and cloying, sweet, and sort of like semi-ironic sawtooth grin of these guys. And so it kind of brought I can't remember, Damien Leone? Yeah, Damien Leone was the director who put that out. And so yeah, Terrifier 2 popped into mind. Not for any good reason, but just because I'm desperate.
Clearly no good reason, yeah. I mean, we talked about Supreme. That Supreme is very similar with the hype over. I mean, these are certainly more creative than Supreme, but still, it feels like it's more about the hype than the product.
Supreme just has a typeface. That's it. A fucking good typeface, but that's it.
Yes, terrible. Supreme times Squishies. Remember Squishies? Kid cute toy. And then I subtracted 5,876.1 E.
Jesus, man. Talk about a market swoon, huh?
I know. How about that? And crunch those numbers, load those into your abacus, and you arrive at
it's got a fucking abacus.
Labu shabu.
Wait, you know what? I'm using that string that's over a pool table with the little sliding discs. That's what I'm
I never know what those meant.
I'm punching it into one of those.
But that's for billiards, not pool. Anyway, Labubu, we're never going to engage with it again, so let's move on. We're back with the show, but next week there's a question mark whether we...
Yeah, we right. Because you're going to Mexico. Yeah. You're going to...
I'm going to Mexico.
You're going down Mexico Way, as Perry calls it.
Down Mexico Way, yeah.
Andy Williams? I believe Andy Williams sang that song, but yes.
This trip does not involve Andy Williams in any way, shape, or form.
Not that you know of. Nor Perry Como, as it was almost
nor Perry Como, nor Bing Krause.
Nor Andrew Cuomo. None of this stuff's going to happen.
Thank you, yeah.
All right. So if you'd like to find past episodes on our show, look for Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play, and also YouTube. Podcasts only enter the fray if they're having a YouTube presence. And so I am on my American Caesar Salad Enterprises. I am digitizing with a static image, essentially, the podcasts are going up. The last two have gone up. I haven't announced it, but I'm sort of putting them there as static things. So people apparently listen to podcasts on YouTube now. Not that they're going to find this show, but YouTube has become the leading vendor of podcasts, eclipsing Spotify to some, or at least it's very close to being the absolute feature of this. So I figured let's put this podcast up there. Put as much metadata rich as possible. Maybe someone will find it on YouTube as well. I don't know. But anyway, that's all that is entered to my boilerplate. That's where people will find this stuff. So you can still blue sky us at noahandbillshow.bsky.social. Write to us at noahandbilldon'tgetit@gmail.com. Reviews on the aggregators also help. Social media is always billscurry.bsky.social. Twitter @William Scurry. And youtube.com AM Caesar, where you can find, well, not a lot, but they'll be there for the future. But again, if you have a catcher going, you don't need to it's going to be in the same place as always. And here, Noah will tell you where you can find him.
Go to bigquizthing.com and learn about The Big Quiz Thing, America's premier provider of corporate and private live trivia events. I'm going to Mexico to host a 50th birthday party, not mine.
The country of Mexico is turning 50, and you're there to celebrate.
You thought you knew history. You were everything you thought was wrong. We're busy with a lot of summer events. Companies like to throw parties for their staff during the summer, and we are happy to be there with the finest in live trivia service. And I am on these days a little more on Instagram, the Noah Tarnow. Check me out there.
All right, everybody. So until the next episode, you can see our chest, shoulders, and plush hairy backs hanging from the Hermes bags of other K-pop celebrities. We don't get it.
A production of American Caesar Enterprises 2025.